So live on a Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. Merely Bo, the great Z. Nothing merely about what is in front of us here. The great Lavelle in studio with one of the great handoffs. I don't really know. I'll admit I don't really know what to do. We have venison drumsticks here.
This is what you do. This is my second one. This is what you do. You take it.
No, I get that, but like we do have a program here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
there are a lot of great
They
scenes in
smell.
Game of Thrones when they're eating meat, celebrating victories, and that's really what we're doing.
When the hound eats the chicken in the ale.
Boy.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So Tyler did this. He did the
Tyler's
he's
the
grill
grill
work.
master. So he said roasted. He's got a little Dijon binder.
Yeah.
And then they've got some Montreal steak seasoning, some fresh herbs, some oregano. He said thyme, rosemary, herbs, and just roasted it up. And let me tell you something. It's
stunning.
Delightful. And
I've
even this
never
one
had-
here where it's got like almost like a little rib cap on it.
Yeah, these guys do.
Yeah, that is.
I'm going to get into that when we get a commercial break here. Very, very good.
Tastes like victory.
It does taste like victory.
Which is sweet.
You and I were on a text chain last night as
We
it
were on a
happened.
lot of text
of
chains
them,
last
yeah.
night, yeah.
But we were on one last night when what happened to Rodgers happened. So quick story. I used to play basketball 4 mornings a week. I'd play at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Or maybe it was 3. It was 3. It was Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And I played 6 o'clock in the morning. And this is a couple of years ago when I was just had turned 40, early 40s. Early man, I'm 40. And the feeling was I'm watching basketball one night, and I'm watching the Pelicans against the Spurs. And I liked watching them play because they had the two bigs, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins. And I was watching the night that DeMarcus Cousins blew his Achilles. And Kevin Harlan was on the call, and there was somebody there who had an Achilles surgery. Like, well, he's done for a year. And at that point, I thought to myself, all right, he's 24 or whatever. He's done for a year. Like, if that happens to me, am I out 6 years? Like, am I not walking again? Like, what happens? And from that point on, I stopped playing basketball.
Well, you know that happened to Pedro.
It happened to Pedro.
On a basketball
On a
court.
basketball, right. In
Right
fact,
in front
I've
of
got a litany of buddies who this has happened to.
I don't play basketball anymore, and I love
You can
basketball.
play, like, pick-up stuff, but, like, you can't play, like, play.
No.
No,
I haven't
it's-
played basketball since
Can't do
I
it.
was in my 30s,
Yeah,
and
you
I
can't.
was like, and when I got into like the back end of my 30s, I'm like, it's
This is not worth it.
not worth it at all. The risk is enormous.
Yeah.
The upside is limited.
Yep.
And the effort required to defend people in their 20s is beyond what I'm willing to put forth.
All of those things are true.
So that's the end.
Aaron Rodgers is 39 years of age.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this thing last night, and I texted you Achilles. And a lot of that had to do with the boogie thing, his age, that turf, which we'll get to in a second. It had to do with,
And you could see it kind of just went.
but in the moment you couldn't.
The
But it was
ones now you can, yeah.
now you can. But it was kind of like the Kobe thing too, where like everybody I've known who's had an Achilles, and Pedro could probably attest to this too. It's like you get bit. They always say it's like you
Or
get bit
kicked.
by or
He thought he
kicked or
got kicked.
Yeah, like bit or kicked or shot like in the calf, and then it's nothing. Like once it happens, and the pain is next to none, and that's what happened. Like Rodgers got up, like I think I'm okay, and then right back down, you went Achilles. That's it.
As soon as his reaction,
He knew.
I was like, this isn't just an ankle.
No,
Like you try to walk that off or hobble that or see what you. I was like, he knew he was done. He just
Yeah.
sat down, and you could see it on his face. He goes, "This is a nightmare. This is over." It was so interesting, and I did get back to the Manning cast. I finished the night with the Manning cast with
I did too.
Fitzmagic, and it was glorious.
It was.
The stretch was
Peyton Manning's
perfection.
Peyton Manning's disgust of Zach Wilson's play and inability to play the quarterback position was as funny as anything you'll see, and as cutting. Like it was ruthless.
Because, so I had to at one point. I was watching the Manning cast as this happens. Peyton is like distraught.
Can't talk.
He can't talk.
No.
He's like, I've done all this research. I've watched his tape back to Cal. Like, I have all this stuff. We're talking about his cadences, like all of this. And now what am I supposed to do now?
That's right.
And he kind of was just like lost it. And then they couldn't even talk about the injury because Peyton couldn't even talk. He
couldn't speak.
He was incensed.
And to be fair, they were also. You could tell that they're not a live news show.
Yeah.
So like they went like the first break after Rodgers got hurt, they went to a bit.
that's
that's what was planned. It was a bit, so they had no ability to veer off of the bit.
And they don't have a
because it
sideline
was
reporter.
locked in. No, but like there wasn't a time for funnies, and they still were like committed to the funny because they had to. And like Eli did the joke, and Peyton was kind of like just fell flat.
Well, because they came back with the picture of his son with Aaron Rodgers at the Derby.
Right, and it was like, now why can't I get an invite?
invited?
It's like this whole skit that they had set up, and it was like, actually, fellas, maybe put that somewhere else. Like, take Colin Audible there and move in a different direction.
And
like, don't come
just
back
right
with
now.
that.
All that matters is
All
give us
that matters
the
is
information
Rodgers.
on Aaron
That's
Rodgers,
it,
and
yeah.
then Rodgers gets put onto the cart, and Peyton goes, "Holy cow!"
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I thought this was just an ankle," and then he was completely despondent. They bring McEnroe in, and I was like out of there. I was back to. It's great to have the option because
It is, yeah.
Aikman and Buck were so great during that stretch.
They were, yep.
And then I was able to come back and thoroughly enjoy. Fitzmagic was on
great.
there, and he was there for an hour and a half, it felt like, and
Yeah.
it was awesome. Just an insane, devastating scene for the Jets. And now they ended up winning, and I'm sure we'll get into that. Just that's why sports gets us.
Oh.
That's why it grabs you in your heart and doesn't let you go. There is nothing like it in the world that can be that compelling, that live. And when we get a magical TV show that can grab you like that, you love it. And then unfortunately it comes to an end. Sports, this happens every single year. An undrafted free agent. It was all the Aaron Rodgers show. They really kind of focused on two undrafted free agents who are both receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Both make the team, and one has the walk-off punt return at the end. Mm-hmm. I came out of that thinking, man, maybe we were wrong about Aaron Rodgers. He's great, and I'm very sad for him because I wanted to see this whole season play out, him in the New York media, all of it. I came out of Hard Knocks loving Saleh, and then those two undrafted rookies, Brownlee and Gibson, were cool, and it was cool to see them find out they make the team. He hits the walk-off. I couldn't have loved, as somebody who may have run with a touchdown on the sideline in a past life, the way that Robert Saleh was literally in the end zone as Gibson was getting in the end zone.
Yeah.
He was already in the end zone,
That's right.
headset off, jumping up. Like, I thought that was the coolest. I loved it.
It was. I think it's the only thing I could compare. This is all going to be about Rodgers, though, as it should be, because this changes everything in the AFC.
Changes everything.
Yeah, I mean, I had them playing in the AFC Championship game. I think it was justified based on who they were.
Did I.
And their defense and all of it. Like the weapons, the Garrett Wilson catch in the fourth quarter is as good a catch. I mean, Zach Wilson threw it to the corner.
Yes.
He threw it to the corner, and you've all seen it by now, but I mean, that's as good as the Beckham catch on Monday Night Football. It's as good a catch as you'll find. So they have all of these weapons, all the things that are necessary. But it will, again, always come back to Rodgers. I think it's the most devastating injury in team sports that I can remember, juxtaposed to new team.
Yes.
There was like the Brady injury in 2007.
Bernard Pollard.
Michael Vick got hurt in a preseason game after he was on the cover of Madden when they made the run to the postseason. It was like, and then he broke his leg. That was early 2000s. That was devastating. There's been some other ones that have happened, but usually it's with a guy with the same team. I'm talking about new team,
Biggest
big
signing.
money free agent, big changes everything. Gone after 4 plays?
4 plays.
I was at the – do you remember this? I think you and I have talked about this before. I think you were at this game too. I was lucky enough to be like 2 rows off the court when the Celtics had signed Gordon Hayward. And they had Kyrie and Gordon Hayward and and Brown and Tatum and Al Horford, and they played here in the opener. And he broke his leg.
Nasty.
I was underneath the rim on that end.
The same end where it
same
happened?
end. Yeah, it was
So
like
it happened like
it happened
in
right
your
in
lap.
front of me, like from here to the wall. It happened. And I'm not comparing Gordon Hayward signing with the Celtics to Aaron, but it was a big deal when he'd signed there. He'd been a good player. And it was like everything was just gone, evaporated like that. And that's what happened here with this Rodgers thing. I don't have a point of reference on this, man.
No,
He's running out with the flag on 9/11 10 minutes earlier.
It sucks. I mean, you think
It
about
sucks so bad, dude.
It sucks. It does. It sucks.
As a fan of sport, it
Yeah,
just
it's awful.
sucks because
'Cause
they
this-
were going to be one of the most intriguing teams.
They already were, and then Hard Knocks only
Yeah.
enhanced that intrigue, and then to have it all be gone in an instant was ridiculous. It was very sad. On a personal note, I lost a fantasy game by 0.3 points where I had Aaron Rodgers, and it was like a layup lock. I was going to win that game. 0, obviously.
Same with
Fourth
NBC.
play. Oh, right.
His anger at me is palpable.
For what?
For Travis Kelce in the first round because he missed week 1. They're prisoners of the moment. They can't see down the line, right? So, like,
Okay.
I had given him my draft manifesto.
Okay.
So one of the things that I did not take into account is that 11-year-olds love quarterbacks,
Yep.
right? So not only do they all take a starter, they all took backups
Crazy.
because they're idiots.
Yep.
Because they're 11. They
Yeah,
don't know any
idiots.
better.
Yeah.
So, but the problem is when they're all idiots, then you end up being the idiot.
Yes.
So, like, his draft grade was like a D- because he loaded up on running backs and receivers,
He did what he was supposed to.
what he's supposed to do. But unfortunately, now I can't really prove that what he's supposed to do because his quarterback's going to be Bryce Love from here on out. He's got to hope for the best because all the other quarterbacks are gone.
He's going to have to make a trade.
Well, he's going to have to, but, like, these kids won't trade. It's a mess. It's a mess. He was so mad at me.
Oh, man.
He's up doing his homework, and I said, I just couldn't even look at him. And he's like, what were you yelling about down there? And I go, dude, you don't even want to know. He's like, what? And I said, Rodgers, he's done. I'm telling you, it's an Achilles. He goes, for sure? And I said, I'm pretty sure. Like, usually when that happens.
Well, Schefter's halftime report, too, where he was.
This was early, though. This was, like,
yeah.
right after. Like, you
Yeah.
could tell. Like,
Yes.
it was,
yes. Everybody.
known.
Yeah. It was. Oh, man, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. And then for the Bills to not win that game,
Oh, my God.
I didn't have them making the playoffs. I feel like a spot's opened up now, obviously, in the
For
AFC.
sure. Yeah.
But you never know. The Jets might make some type of a move. I'd say right now, to me, today, and Gibbe may have had this right, I think the Dolphins are the favorite to win the AFC East. And I don't think I'm overreacting to Bills. I felt this tenuous about the Bills for a while.
Why are you eliminating the team that wears orange and brown that dominated the AFC co-favorites?
The
Why
AFC East.
Oh, I thought you said AFC.
No, the AFC East.
We're right there with them.
We're with the,
We're
we can
right there.
hang with anybody.
Yeah. Two most impressive AFC wins of the weekend.
I'm the only
were-
person here who has the Browns going to the Super Bowl. I have the defensive player of the year,
You're right.
offensive
You already-
player, and
you did.
MVP
You
for
know,
the
all
Cleveland
the
Browns.
chalk.
What do you mean? Am I forgot about the Browns?
What am I hard at forgetting?
Yeah.
You had the two most impressive AFC wins were Miami and ours. Those are the two most impressive AFC wins of the weekend. One last thing. And we saw Joe Thomas comment about this. David Bakhtiari commented about this. How do these stadiums not have grass?
That's an open air stadium.
It's an open air stadium.
Outrageous.
We know that they can grow grass in New Jersey. We've all seen The Sopranos.
Yes, fact.
Like, you
Here's
can grow
the
grass.
here's the
There's
thing.
no reason not to grow. There's no reason not to have grass at that stadium.
Here-
By the way, if you have a dome and you're like, well, we can't grow grass or inside, go check out what Real Madrid did.
Yep.
You can do it. It can be done.
And the money exists
Of course.
in this business,
Of course.
to do that.
Yes. You should be playing on grass only in the NFL.
Yes. Agreed. That's it. I mean, there's
It's a joke.
now there have been plenty of injuries around the league that happen on grass, but there have been enough studies that say you reduce the risk of some of these injuries on grass relative to turf, and that should be enough because this is. And maybe this is the kind of injury that does it, right? Because you think about when did the rules change for how quarterbacks could be hit, where they could be hit on their body? It was Bernard Carmel Pollard taking out Tom Brady low.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden he hit quarterback low, became 15 yards, period, like full stop.
Yep.
So maybe this, because it's so significant, it's in New York, where the NFL is headquartered. Aaron Rodgers was the biggest story. Hard Knocks, all of it.
All of it.
Evaporated. And that really is the feeling. I'm sure you and your other line of work were covering this stuff. It was coming in real time. You know, Diana Rossini and others talking to guys on the Jet staff who did not sleep last night, who were like, is this a nightmare? Is this just
Again, like, I mean,
unbelievable.
this is
It's
I mean,
unprecedented.
it's LeBron signing with the Heat and then blowing an Achilles before he ever plays a game.
Yes.
I mean, like, there's no point of reference. We don't have anything to compare this to. And maybe there's a baseball one where there's a pitcher who signed for big money, but it's not a quarterback. This is the most important possession in all of sports. And it was the one thing missing from their roster, and it's gone.
Gone.
And so is all of their hope.
Gone.
In terms of our schedule, off day today, going to return to practice on Thursday. So remember, we got Monday Night Football this week. So Thursday becomes Wednesday. Friday is a Thursday. Saturday is a Friday. Sunday is a Saturday, so forth and so on. So that's the way that works. Everything just gets backlogged a bit when you have the extra day between our game and Monday Night Football. Our opponent on Monday has not had a good couple of days either. Cam Hayward going to miss multiple weeks with a groin injury. The team has placed him on IR. The Steelers are also going to be without wide receiver Deontay Johnson multiple weeks with a hamstring injury. So not only were they bludgeoned at home by San Francisco, they are battered as well.
Which is a great thing for us, and one of the things that you dive in. I'll give a shout-out to Cleve TA out there. He already broke down the splits of when Cam Hayward is on the field for the Steelers and off in their run defense.
Oh, yeah.
And needless to say, when he is not on the field for their run defense, we're talking over 5 yards a carry. Not a poor EPA per play from a defense standpoint, a great one for the offensive standpoint, and we're a team that just ran for over 200 yards. Mm-hmm. I think that is being not talked about enough. We ran for over 200 yards in week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I think that in general, the win isn't being talked about hardly at all. Even before the Rodgers injury, there wasn't much talk about it. It was all Miami. It was Dallas. It was almost like, and even the Bengals postgame, I was listening to some postgame this morning from both Burrow. Like, Burrow's like, no big deal. You lose the first one. It's fine. Like, one game doesn't define us. Nobody's panicking. Like, nobody thinks you're panicking, but you were battered in the opener. Like, you were beaten soundly and dominated physically, and it is not being discussed. Look at the power rankings even. Like, we're still like 11th, 10th. I mean,
okay, but we were moving from 20th.
I understand, but like
insanity.
The whole point of a power ranking is this is what they are right now.
Yes.
Like, it's almost like they're treating us beating the Bengals like we beat the Texans.
Yes.
Like, there's no difference. Like, the Bengals are in the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship the last 2 years.
For sure.
They're the co-favorite in the AFC.
And you know what? I'm fine with it.
I'm fine, too. I'm just saying. I think it's odd to me how it hasn't.
We are, as we've always said, and what you have to do is continue to stack wins, and going into Pittsburgh and doing something that you haven't done, I believe, since 2003, which is when they are in the regular season, goes a long way to changing these perceptions. And
this is a banana peel game for sure.
It can't be.
No, but I mean, this is what then it's like, oh, God.
If going to the Steelers, if
Right.
you're smelling yourself so much that going to the Steelers on Monday Night Football game is a trap game for you because you're lackadaisical, like, then we got big problems. I don't believe that to be the case in any way, shape, or form with this organization as it currently is constructed and being run. None, in my mind. That is not anything that I would expect to be a problem at all. What I would say is it's a big game, but, yeah, we're not going to get the respect. And there have been many people who pointed out on Twitter today that on a program that, they have a tough time talking about Deshaun Watson, they're quoting Woody Allen all over the place today. Like,
oh, really? Jeez.
I mean,
Come on. How excited are you about this? Yellow legal pad.
I mean, I'm more excited for you.
I mean, isn't that great?
I still had a winning week, but yours
Isn't that nice, though? The nice
Yeah.
yellow? I
Yeah.
like that yellow. I like a yellow legal pad.
Well, I think it should be gold after what you did in week 1.
Oh, I forgot to put the final check mark on. I went to bed before it finished. I went to bed as it went to overtime.
I know. I texted you.
Yeah, I was.
I knew I figured you were
gone.
long gone.
Yeah, I was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 5:45 comes early, so I'm like, that's all I can do. I can't go any further. So I missed the finish, but I went to bed thinking, well, I'll probably lose that last one in overtime because they couldn't get a stop right before half on them. I'm like, Bills will probably win it in overtime. Not. So, yeah, it was a pretty good week. Those are the hot topics of the day presented by Vivid Seats. Head to Vivid Seats, purchase brand new premium terrace experience where your tickets come with a pregame field pass parking, all-inclusive food and beverage. Lastly, a $50 Browns shop gift card. Visit vividseats.com or download the Browns app today. Vivid Seats is an official fan experience partner of your Cleveland Browns. We'll take a look around the AFC. Lots of news, obviously, with what happened yesterday in New York. We're off and running on a Tuesday edition. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. If you need a new roof from your home, I got an answer for you. Never replace your roof again with the Renew Home Exteriors Replace Once for Life warranty. This month, with the purchase of a new roof, get free installation on solar-powered attic fan. That's going to help you take that load off your AC unit, keep your attic venting properly. Install today and save with no interest for 24 months. Renew Home Exteriors, superior products, superior service. Visit renewestimate.com for more. This changes a lot in the AFC, what happened yesterday.
Yes.
With the Jets.
And Sunday. I mean, that was a bad week for the AFC at large, good week for the Browns.
Well, let's which part do you want to handle, the Jets part, or do you want to handle the AFC at large part?
Why don't we weave the Jets into the AFC at large?
Okay.
As a focal point.
Let me give you this. Who is the most unflawed AFC contender?
And I mean this seriously. We have the best team on paper in the AFC.
What is preventing this team, as you look at the landscape of the AFC, which now with the loss of Rodgers, some of these teams have real issues.
Yes.
I mean, Allen now it's 2 years. I think he's got 37 turnovers in the last 2 years.
Why has he not learned how to?
I don't know.
Like there were two
Manning
times
wanted to just strangle him several times, and his kid loves him.
Yeah.
But he really wanted what are you doing, man?
Yeah, and get out of bounds. He had a couple times to get out of bounds, and he comes back in and takes on 3 tacklers.
Yeah.
He's incredibly talented. Incredibly talented. But decision making yesterday was poor.
Yeah. Yep.
Was poor.
All right. So what is preventing, now that we know what we know about the AFC, and as I mentioned, some of these teams are permanently flawed, what is stopping this team from doing to the AFC what Philly did to the NFC last year?
Okay, number 1, Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, but they have flaws.
They do, but now they got Chris Jones back.
They do.
They're going to get Kelsey back. Their biggest flaw.
He's 33.
Their biggest flaw is probably their receiver room.
They have a cheat code at quarterback, and they have a really good coach.
That should make it up. I don't expect them to drop passes like that. Again, this is the National Football League.
Yeah.
And by the way, if Kadarius Toney just catches one of the 2 passes, they win the game.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still very good. Back end of their defense is excellent. Their linebackers are excellent, and they've got now with Chris Jones, they'll be disruptive up front.
Yeah.
So Kansas City, I think, is the first answer. Then you look at the other teams. I think Cincinnati is still a very real, very complete football team.
Agreed. I think they actually, to me, they're even more. They don't have the cheat code of Mahomes, but I think they're even more complete when all right than Kansas City. Because I think Kansas City's receiver issues are real. I don't think it's.
Those are the 2 teams to me that are close enough to complete, and then have also the superstars where I still think that they're elite. So I think we're in the tier with those 3. Then next you got Jacksonville. And I don't know enough about them to say where they are deficient. They stole Calvin Ridley.
Theft.
Lawrence is a dude. Mm-hmm. Now they didn't go.
Etienne's good.
They didn't put away the Colts like you maybe would have thought. So maybe their defense is a little bit concerning because Richardson actually played a great game against them. But I still like the Jags very much. Miami might be if Tua's
Miami's. Okay, so I think you could argue that us and Miami have the most, and Cincinnati, that those are the 3 most complete total rosters. It's just, for us, it's can Watson go the way that Hurts did last year, like how he got better and better every week. My hunch is he will. And then with Miami, it's just can Tua stay healthy?
Yes. But I'm going to put Miami in that top quartile in the AFC.
Yeah, I agree. It's just the Tua health. That's it.
Yep.
There's nothing else.
So then we got Jacksonville over here. We got Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't that impressed with their defense, to be honest. Matt Milano was a beast flying around. Mm-mm. Their secondary is getting a little older.
I mean, the Jets could not throw it once Rodgers went out.
Yeah. And they weren't dominant in the pass rush against the Jets, who have an awful offensive line. Mm-hmm. But Buffalo's still very good. Baltimore, I still have concerns about their ability to throw the ball.
Well, now they don't have J.K. Dobbins.
Which changes their home run-ish ability out of the running back position. Gus Edwards, I think, is still very good.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have Mark Andrews in that game, to be fair.
Nope.
They'll get him back. I have questions about their defense. And we
Especially
didn't,
up front.
We did not see
they're
them
worthy.
get tested by Houston. We will see them get tested, I imagine, this week by Cincinnati.
Yep.
So those are the questions with the Baltimore Ravens. Pittsburgh was never in
They weren't
my
on my radar either, man.
They weren't to me. So we'll see. Still, T.J. Watt is sublime.
Yeah,
But it feels like there's already Pickens is liking stuff on Instagram that was kind of negative on Pickett. Like Deontay Johnson's out now. Cam Hayward's out now. Their offensive line is still not much improved.
They got bullied.
The Jets, yeah. I mean,
They're done. It's over.
I won't say it's their defense is elite.
So is New England's, though. And New England now is more competent offensively. I think the Jets are fourth in that division now.
So you got New England, you got the Jets.
If you're looking for a positive for them, they'll have their first rounder. So theoretically, if Rodgers plays again, like he would be there with a first round pick.
First rounder.
That my guess is will be an offensive lineman.
Yes. The Chargers lost a game to what we are all considering a very good Miami team, but we're there with them punch for punch.
Well, they ran it like crazy. Both backs over 100 yards in that game. Eckler and Kelly both went over 100. Do you just trust that staff?
I don't, and that's to me
that
feels like that's what holds them back. So you're at, and then who's done? In my opinion, Tennessee is done. India, and talk about playoff contention. Indianapolis is done. Houston is done. Denver clearly, I think that was not an impressive performance by them. Them and Las Vegas both have flaws. Maybe they get it going, but
they're not consequential though. Those teams aren't teams of consequence.
Denver should be. They have a consequential defense, and then
they don't have the weapons though that we think offensively. Like I think we want Jerry Jeudy to be something he's not.
He didn't play, right?
But I mean, just in general, when he has played, like he's hurt or he's in trouble or he's Sutton's there, and then Williams coming back off the injury. But like, there's something just off there. It has been for a while.
So it's 4. Yeah, that's the 16 teams. I think there are only 3 that you can say are done from the playoff picture for sure.
Do the thing, though, where we do, like, how many teams wake up in the morning and say, go win the Super Bowl. And that number in the AFC, which I think maybe a month and a half ago would have been maybe 10 or 11. And it's hyperbole. It's overreaction week 1 Tuesday. But this is what we do.
Well, the Jets are out of that game.
Jets are out.
New
I think
England's
Pittsburgh's
out of that game. Pittsburgh's out of that game. Denver's out of that game. Vegas is out of that game.
For sure.
So I still think the Chargers probably feel like they're in that game. The
Kansas
Ravens
City
probably do.
Chargers, us, Bengals, Ravens, Dolphins,
Jags,
Bills.
Yep.
Those 8.
Yeah, those 8. And then there are 5 that probably still think they can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we're still at the same kind of numbers. It's shifted in that the Jets are out and Miami is fully in. And again, we'll see. Baltimore, Cincinnati, I think is going to be a very interesting game to watch this week.
There is an opportunity here
the
in
Jets
front of
one, though, is massive.
It gets rid of a Super Bowl contender out of your conference, is what it does, and they were that with him. They're not without him. What's in front of this team right now? The opportunity, a beaten up Pittsburgh team without 2 of their 6 most important players. Is that a stretch? Hayward and Johnson. Maybe Johnson's top 8.
So
Cam's for sure in the top 4.
I would say T.J. Watt.
Yeah. Is Cam 2?
Cam Hayward. Probably Highsmith. Minka.
Yeah. Those 4 on defense.
Highsmith. And then on offense, you have to put your quarterback in.
Quarterback.
Kenny Pickett. And then it's probably George Pickens. And then, probably Najee, Deontay.
Yeah, so top 8. 2 top 8 players. They're down after getting bludgeoned by the Niners. And then you get Tennessee, they cannot throw the football.
Dreadful.
Tannehill's done. Like, they need to go to Levis or the other guy, Willis, whoever, whichever one they like more. Play one of them. It's done. By the way, they get the Chargers this week in Nashville. That's their game this week. So there's an opportunity here for this team to really.
It's a big week.
These are huge. Yeah. Now it's like, are you real? Do you belong in that group that we put at the top with Kansas City, with Miami, Buffalo? Now that's what the great teams do. They take momentum and they springboard it forward.
They build on it.
And they build.
Yes.
And that's it. So there's a lot on the line this week. It's a huge game. As we put a ribbon on the win against the Bengals, some plays of the day Gibby wants. Play of the day, offense, defense, and special teams.
I like this. I was saying I think that there should be one more kind of like segment that we go back to on this game, right?
Yep, I like it.
When you talk about this, to put a bow on it, play of the day on offense, to me, was the Deshaun Watson touchdown run.
There's no question.
The audible.
And what it culminated, the drive.
Yes. And then you go into the half up 10.
Yeah.
You needed that, made it a 2-score game, all of it. The fact that he audibled to it, the fact that he took the beat once he got the ball, which gave White Teller the time and also made Hendrickson think it might be a pass because he came upfield, created that alley, and then a great job by Amari Cooper blocking down the field.
One quick thing on that. That can be a nervy building down there on the lake in not a good way for the home team.
Yes.
Same thing happens at Ohio Stadium for the Buckeyes, although they have less examples of the nerves being justified. But when it starts to turn, it's hard to get it back. And if you go into half up 3-0 or even 6-0, there's a lot of grumbling.
Yes.
The fact that you got bing bong bong.
Yes.
That's now all of a sudden things feel different.
100%.
And that's why that was such a monumental drive, capped with him on the ground, the explosion of energy that he had once he scored. Like almost like all of it just released, the release he had.
Yes.
It's all of those things.
All of it, yes.
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
Defensive play of the day.
So this one, I think you could go a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think there are two that jump out.
There were so
both
many.
involved
All right,
95.
Go ahead, give me your
Either the final sack against Burrow, which is, by all accounts, everyone who was there, the loudest the stadium's been in a while, or the crossover. I mean, because what that to me represented, that's in the first quarter. He flies through. The guard doesn't help. He flies through. Burrow's staring at him. He's got to step up. Obo gets the sack. It was Obo on that one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Obo comes in and gets a sack. And it was like, oh, it's going to be a long day for 9.
Yeah.
And the fact that, to me, like, Miles so confident and like he had the answers to the test. Yes, the swag that he had, that Rizzo, as the kids say. That type of stuff. Like, he kind of had all of that stuff happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he knows what he is. He knows what this team is. He knows what this defense is. To do that in the first quarter of the first game against Cincinnati. So I think but there's others too. But those are the two that jump out.
I'm going to go to Grant Delpit, man-to-man, T. Higgins on a slot fade that would have put the Bengals first and goal at about the 5.
Yeah.
And he gets the PBU. The next play is Evan McPherson's 51-yard field goal attempt, misses wide right. The Browns take over at the 41, and that was a big one. You mentioned it could be a nervy building, right? Like, all of a sudden, that could have been a very tight game. And because of Grant Delpit's incredible play there, it wasn't. And when you see, if you're the Bengals, you went 4 wide receivers. The Browns matched it with big dime. So 3 corners, 3 safeties. But they went 4 true receivers, no tight end. And so what that forced the Browns to do is basically you have to have one of those safeties play nickel. And they got that our nickel in Grant Delpit on T. Higgins with all of the space to run a slot fade from the numbers. Like, that is Joe Burrow pre-snap felt like, and we had a single high safety who was playing in the middle of the field, Ronnie Hickman. He couldn't possibly go over there to give that help. Joe Burrow knew exactly where he was going with that ball pre-snap. They probably got exactly what they wanted out of that look. And Grant Delpit made the play anyway. That was incredible. That was a game-changing play.
Special teams.
Every time the ball left Dustin Hopkins' foot, I mean, there it was. Beautiful. It was beautiful. It was
true and pure and dead center to rights.
Yep.
Yeah. It was that felt pretty good, every single one of those. Areas of improvement in all 3 phases. I'm curious. I would think I know where you're going to go offense. Defensively, I'm curious. Where are you going to go to offense?
Well, offensively, it's a couple of 2 things. Number one, when I thought that going back in the game, there was only one time where I thought Deshaun Watson didn't go with the ball where he should have. And there was one play where Elijah Moore was uncovered, and he kind of looked at him, and I think he was trying to wait for something bigger downfield, just take that layup. But I thought for the most part, the ball went exactly where it was supposed to go, and he saw the field clearly. He's just got to deliver the football at the level that he's capable of delivering, that we've seen out here all offseason long. Just deliver the football. And then the other would be Jed Wills. we need Jed Wills to be more firm on that left side of the offensive line. And I think, Alex Highsmith is going to be a challenge for him. Mm-hmm. And that's where the Steelers, you can never count them out, even with all these injuries, even with all things, because
they're going to play renegade. It's going to be all
their defensive ends or outside linebackers in a 3-4, but their two premier pass rushers, their edge rushers, can wreck a game much like we did to the Bengals. And so I think it's imperative that doesn't happen, and it's going to be rookie DeJuan Jones on one side and Jed Wills on the other. Defensively, not much.
No, you're nitpicking. If there is,
Take the football away.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Take the football away.
Yeah.
I mean, to have a defensive performance, and I've talked with some people, some of the biggest of the L's about it, and thought it was, in their metrics, the best defensive performance that we've had here in quite some time. And it added up in their metrics to being that, despite the fact that, there were no takeaways, there were no defense touchdowns. The only other game that ever came close was a game that featured 2 defensive touchdowns and 4 takeaways.
Yeah.
So to do that and be that dominant on a per-play basis was sensational. The next step, though, is getting those game-changing takeaways. And last week Kenny Pickett threw it away two times, 2 picks. We got to get, take the football away. That's it. And it is nitpicking because it was suffocating and completely a winning performance in the most, in every possible sense. Special teams, again, not a whole lot here either. You're getting greedy. Let's pop a return that shifts field position. Corey had one kind of shaky-ish punt that led directly to their field goal. Just continue to be elite there. But I thought our coverage teams were good, and I thought it was great. We've talked all this time about Matthew Adams and Mike Ford Jr. and how when Bubba Ventrone was hired, 2 of the first free agent signings we made were Matthew Adams and Mike Ford. Why? Because they're great on special teams. And then to see them go out there and make tackles as soon as guys have gotten the ball on a kick or a punt return was awesome. That's why they're here, and they went out and they executed at a very high level. So obviously very, very good in all of those things.
Biggest surprise performance in every facet for you: offense, defense, and special teams. Special teams is not a whole lot there, but in the other, what are your biggest surprises? What caught your attention?
I think, maybe, and I'll work on the wording of this with Uno because this was what I said, biggest surprise, but maybe it's just kind of like what caught your attention. I like the way you said that.
Yeah.
What caught my attention about us offensively? Multiple things. One, that we were so multiple. We can attack you in so many ways. And now while we didn't execute perfectly on all of them, we have the ability to run shot plays with Marquise Goodwin and get behind the defense.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine hit one of those? How this would have all been different?
Oh, yeah. It'd be
like every narrative.
Totally.
Yeah.
If he hits
he beats him twice.
If he just hits that one pass. The other one, it was the pressure. It was the one. The one, if he hits that pass, he throws for over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. We beat them 30-3.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying, okay, oh, baby. We did that. We have the multiplicity with our quarterback run game. We have the ability to still go out there and play 13 personnel and just pound you into the ground. So I loved that aspect of it. I liked all the different things that we did. The creativity to have on the play to Goodwin, and I don't know if we've talked about this nearly enough because the throw wasn't completed. That play began with Watson in shotgun with Nick Chubb on his left. They shift over. Now Nick Chubb's at quarterback. Watson's off of his right hip. They snap it to Chubb, who inside hands it off to Deshaun Watson, coming across like an inside zone, who peels back to his right as they have the line peel back and block for him to set up that shot play. I mean, that is an awesome design. And unfortunately, obviously, it didn't hit, but I love that design of it. And then the other thing that really caught my attention was DeJuan Jones. It's awful to see Jack Conklin go down. We're going to miss Jack Conklin. We wish him certainly the best in his recovery. But to know that DeJuan Jones stepped in there and basically vaporized Sam Hubbard. Sam Hubbard is not a jabroni on the corner.
No.
He
Very
vaporized
good.
him.
Yeah, he did.
In pass pro, vaporized him.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's things to work on in the run game, but that would be that. Defensively, I thought a couple things that really I took notice of, and it doesn't show up in the stat sheet as much, but you watch the tape, 94, Dalvin Thompson was dominant. And we all know about Miles and Za'Darius.
But that's what we kept saying all camp. It wasn't just 99 and 95. It was the middle.
And Shelby. And
right. It was all of it.
Yep.
It all marries.
So that was good. JOK knifing in and not only making tackles, but knifing in and blowing up plays, blowing up offensive linemen, and was stunning to watch. I mean, literally going in and taking out a pulling guard, JOK. We talked about, is he big enough? Is he physical enough? Well, I thought he answered the bell. And then on the back end, I'll go to Grant Delpit. Grant Delpit coming off of a season in which he was one of only 3 players in the league to have more than 100 tackles and 4 interceptions. There were only 3 people who did that last year, and he had 3 of those interceptions in the last 4 games when he really kind of came on strong. To see him play at that level, and, you know, that's one of the things when you're kind of watching this and you're thinking they're always so smart, succession planning, all of that. You know, I'm pretty sure you want Grant Delpit to be a part of this thing for a while. And so you wondered, is that something that, you know, an extension that gets worked on? You know, I think the two, if you're thinking about extensions that could happen in the season this year, I'm thinking of Zadarius Smith, and I'm thinking Grant Delpit.
There's a video, I think Jake Burns had it going around of JOK knifing in a run fit and taking out the lead blocker, which allows for another backer to fill and get a tackle for loss on Mixon. JOK taking out the lead blocker after he's taken down, jumps up and is celebrating.
Yeah.
Like he made the sack.
Yeah, that's the play I was talking about. Yes.
That's the play you're talking about. Like, if you haven't seen that, Jake has it on his social. It's just an awesome kind of understanding of what being asked to do. You know,
it's a selfless thing.
It's a selfless thing, and it's funny. Like, I coached the boys, and we had a practice last night with the 6th grade, and we're like, you have to do this part. Like, you do this part, which allows this player to do this part.
Right.
You don't I don't need you to go sack the quarterback. I need you to do this, which will allow for this to happen.
Yep.
And this is it happening at the highest level. Like, I'm taking that video to practice Wednesday and saying, this is what happens. This is what you're supposed to do. Look how he celebrates.
Right, and that's what same thing with Dalvin. You go back and you watch all the things Dalvin Tomlinson did because it allows other people to make plays. And I think our ability on defense now to have our linebackers free to flow to the ball is awesome, and it's so different from a year ago.
Yes.
So different.
Yeah.
So different.
One of the other guys who's built different is MJ Emerson. He spoke with the media yesterday. We will have that for you coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If a car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk and Elks, proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. And now let's head to the podium. MJ Emerson speaking to the media yesterday.
Yeah, MJ, just
You're down.
when the defensive line is getting after the quarterback like they did Sunday with Joe Burrow, just how much easier, not to say your job in the secondary is easy, but just how much easier does that make your job and allow you the opportunities we saw yesterday where you're able to bat passes away on the perimeter?
Man, I want to tip my hat to those guys, to our D-line. They played with tremendous effort. Man, it was hard. You know the ball coming out fast, and, we don't have to cover too long. And they was getting the ball out pretty quick, and we was just, turning around trying to make plays on the ball. So big shout out to those guys.
Hey, MJ. We talked to Miles earlier in the week, and you know how motivated he was after hearing the comments from Jamar Chase. But being as you guys were the ones that covered that wide receiving core, how much did that motivate you guys to play your best game against them?
Every game, we coming out and we on a mission. We got goals and things that we want to reach as a group. So honestly, it don't matter. If he didn't say anything, we was gonna be, come out with the same energy and the same guys. But that he did. I don't really. How do I want to say this? He did. Disrespect us, and whatever he say, he got to stand on it. And I feel like they didn't back that up. And whatever you say, you just got to stand on it. So.
Hey, MJ, I'm guessing at some point along the way, Coach Schwartz has gotten into you for something. How did you receive his coaching style? I guess it's not exactly for everybody.
His coaching style, it's a tough brand of football, man. I feel like he brings the best out of his players, and he knows what to say. He knows how to bring the team along and just make everybody come together as a unit and go to war for him. So it's easy to go play for a DC like that, man. He coaches everybody the same. He just pushes us and motivates us every day. So I'm thankful to have him, and thankful for him to trust us DBs, just the whole secondary. Just called a great game that he did and let us have fun and do what we do best.
And how much does that trust and motivation grow after you have a week one performance like that?
Man, every day, coming into this building, just putting the time in, and executing our reps, and just keep building that trust with each other, and we're just gonna take it day by day, step by step.
MJ, just wondering if you've had a chance to study anything at all about the game that Kenny Pickett had yesterday. He was picked off a couple of times and kind of struggled a little bit. Just wondering how you guys feel about heading into your game against him on Monday night after what he went through and after what you guys did yesterday.
Big rivalry game, division game. We're looking forward to it. I didn't actually get a chance to watch the film yet and break it down, so I'm pretty sure I'll hit it tonight. But I didn't get to watch the film yet or watch the game.
Hey, MJ, seeing you guys yesterday on the field, Myles Garrett hitting the crossover on his way up to the line, you guys making plays, running around the field, that kind of energy and the chippiness and the taunting, how much is that a part of the Jim Schwartz defense? I know he said something about badassery being a big part of it, but is this what we can expect all season? Is this a big part of it?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. You can. It's the standard, man. So he actually has a system where if you don't celebrate after you make a play or celebrate with your teammate, it's a loaf. So, he wanted to celebrate our great plays and, and just bring that swag and passion to have fun.
Hey, MJ, I know Schwartz has talked about how much trust he has in you guys at corner, which allows him to, blitz and bring extra guys. So how much pride do you take in that? Because he blitzed a bunch yesterday, and that left you guys in a lot of one-on-ones.
Honestly, I feel like we have the best trio in the world in our cornerbacks, and I feel like we just have to keep improving every day and just keep building. Because I feel like our ceiling, I feel like we don't have a ceiling. Honestly, I feel like we started off right, and we just got to keep making positive steps. Just one play at a time.
And does it mean anything after the game? Joe Burrow called you specifically, you and Denzel, two of the best corners in the league, and then he said Greg was one of the best nickels. Does that mean something to you?
I mean, I appreciate it. That's always just respect. I appreciate him acknowledging us, but I mean, it don't really mean too much, I guess, because I mean, we feel that way anyway, and our team feel that way. We just got to keep proving it, just week in and week out.
Hey, MJ, a handful of guys talked about this yesterday, but I know when we talked to Coach Schwartz on Thursday, he brought up like he thought he had an idea of what the identity of this defense would be, but like you have to see that in actual games to really get the full picture. I guess like what do you think this identity is right now after the game yesterday?
Passion, effort, and swag. 3 words I can break it down. Passion, effort, and swag. That's the identity. And have fun. Play fast, play physical, play together.
MJ, Zadarius said after the game that one of the big reasons why you guys as a defense in general have been able to kind of have chemistry right away goes back to the week at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. And then you add that plus you guys buying into Jim Schwartz's defense as quickly as you guys have. Just kind of expound upon a little bit about that week in West Virginia and how you kind of see that now. I know that's been already a month ago, but you're already you're kind of reaping the rewards already after week 1. And then how can you guys sustain this going forward?
Just a brotherhood, just taking our relationship serious, outside of work, just bonding, doing things together as a team, and just building that trust day in and day out on the practice field and on Sundays, and just understanding that that your brother is gonna do everything that in his will to win and put his best foot forward for you. So you're gonna do the same, and it just builds that team chemistry. And when you play tough and fast and physical together, man, it's gonna be hard to stop us.
Hey, MJ, going back to the Steelers, I know you and George Pickens have a little bit of a history together. Get a little back and forth this offseason on Instagram or whatever. How excited do you get for that matchup going up against him?
Oh man, he's a great receiver. I can't wait to play against him and line up against him, and just compete.
And like, is he a guy that just brings out the best in you? Like you look forward to matchups like that?
I mean, I'm the same guy every day, so of course I look up to a matchup like that. Just being a receiver that came out my class. And I feel like a lot of people when we traded back to pick me up instead of grabbing him, I feel like a couple people feel like that he should be here too. So obviously it's a little chip on my shoulder when that matchup comes, but it's just it's the same thing, just another game, great opponent, and you're just gonna get after.
There's that quote going around. A lot of you guys are sharing it. Cleveland is Cleveland. With week 1 in the books, how do you want Cleveland to be defined?
30-30.
I just want when our opponents come on the tape, anybody come on the tape, to just see that we fly around, we play fast, play physical, and we play together, and that every Sunday it's gonna have to scrap up, put your big pads on, and come out to play, because we're coming as well. So I just want Cleveland as a whole, to be us, be the standard we built from day one this off season, and just keep going, and just keep taking it week by week, day by day.
You're up.
Cleveland will be ready. I promise you that.
Yes.
They'll be ready, and I think this team is too. This is it was a fun opener. Now you got to stack it a little bit. We'll do one thought from every NFL game this weekend coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Browns fans, Avocados for Peru will be at the Avon Meyer location 1 to 3 on Friday, September 15th. Stop by the Ultimate Football Sweepstakes for your chance to win that 2023 Ford Lightning electric truck. Play games, win prizes. Meet Kevin Mack. For more information, visit the Cleveland Browns Facebook page, and you will find it there. Hello, Gibby.
Let's see if he did it. Is it up? Is it up? Are we on?
Yeah, Gibby.
Hi.
Hey!
Gibby! Hi. Hi.
Let's go. Let's go, Gibby.
Good job.
Good
job,
job.
Uno. I wasn't sure if you were going to remember.
Was it Griff or Uno?
No, Uno. Well, Griff on the camera.
All right.
Uno on
switcher?
the volume control because this mic is always down.
Look at you two.
We look great, don't we? Spectacular.
Great.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Fat, bald, and drunk is no way to go through life, son.
There's no reason
I'm a
to pick on me.
Child for it.
It's a Tuesday.
He's fine. He's living his best life.
I'm a poster child for it. Hey, you know, one of the coolest things that I saw that our social put up over the weekend was obviously we talked about Jim, and that was so emotional yesterday. That was so cool, and just so heartfelt of all of it. But the others, the call. Well, no, I know. The highlights of the great plays too are so cool to see. Like, you have this new move where you're kind of going you're like Frank the Tank in a little bit.
Well, there's a reason why.
That's because I had punched the thing when I got excited. I couldn't go. I couldn't go up. So then I was like, I'm staying low, dude. I got to punch low, baby.
You're Frank the Tank, man.
I was Frank.
Amazing.
Somebody sent that to me in a GIF after that.
Did they? Yeah, I was like, that's so perfect. I'm like, Z's got a Frank the Tank.
That's the one that he said I was dancing on. And I was just pumped.
That was on the Harrison touchdown. So this was, when was this?
After the Miles sack, which is documented now. We went to the tape. There's a picture of me in the throes of pain. They were gonna post. I don't know if they ended up posting that. They were gonna post that because it's.
I haven't seen it,
but I don't know if they did. But
I need to see it.
The whole video.
Well, I want to see the.
All right, we got to hear. I'm gonna tell Jeff to come and see if Jeff can.
No, Jeff's homesick today.
Then he can't.
He's under the
Where's
weather.
the nation?
He's not with my collar.
Oh, nation. I mean, we are such supporters of the nation.
We are.
But this is an incredible,
the fan club.
incredible miss.
It's a little bit of. I can't see myself.
Have your brother's back.
Yeah.
Help me out.
Yeah.
Help me out.
Yeah.
Help me out.
Agreed.
All right. We've got an entire week of games that happened.
Boy, did we.
16 of them.
That means the return of One Thought.
Let's do it.
One Thought, Week 1 in the National Football League. Sunday's early window. We kick it off with the Atlanta Falcons going to 1-0 over the Carolina Panthers, 24-10. Bo Bishop, one thought from you.
Falcons sign Jimmy Garoppolo, and they'd be one of the 4 best teams in the NFC.
Yep.
They'd be behind just Dallas, San Francisco, and Philly. They'd be the 4th team in the. They have everything else. He is Ritter, and it's funny. Like, if you don't watch the game and you just look at the stat, you'll be like, "Wow, Ritter was really efficient." And he was. I think he only missed on 2 or 3 passes, but it's check down Charlie. They get nothing down the field. Drake London didn't have a catch.
0.
Nothing.
Kyle Pitts, 2.
Yeah, and Algiers is great. Like, I know they love Bijan, but Algiers was great. They're a quarterback away.
Goes back to they didn't need to take him. And Bijan,
he's really good.
Scored. Nice catch out of the backfield, all of that. Algier was their leading rusher, over 5 yards a carry again, as he did all last season. That is a team that is begging for a quarterback. Have you seen the clips of all the times that Kyle Pitts was wide open?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like,
he can't throw it. I mean,
with 5 minutes left to go in the game, he didn't have 100 yards passing.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. And then on the other side, Bryce Young, 3.8 yards per attempt in his NFL debut. I'm
going to tell you, though, dude, like, they have no one to throw to.
Well, they drafted that Mingo kid. They didn't have him out there enough, I thought.
I mean, they don't have any.
Well, they got rid of DJ Moore.
Yeah, they have no weapons. They can't really run.
By the way, send him back. They're not going to use them in Chicago.
No, they don't. No, they're not. They're good.
They're the Bears from a year ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
They got a quarterback and nothing else.
His size, he's not going to hold up,
dude,
with this beating.
When I watched,
it's really difficult for him.
That's why I wrote the size. Like, he just doesn't look. I'm sorry, he just doesn't look big enough. And maybe he's going to revolutionize it and he's going to shock the world. Great. He just doesn't look big enough to me. And the other thing is, by the way, Jesse Bates.
Pretty
nice debut. 2 picks.
Good. Yeah.
Former Bengals safety.
$16 million, I think he got.
He got a good deal because he's a good player.
Yep.
Up next, guys, The Ratbirds go to 1-0. The Ravens with a win on the road against the Houston Texans, 25-9. Injuries marring this one. Zagura, one thought from you.
Yeah, you mentioned the injury. J.K. Dobbins goes down, and you just feel bad for him.
He's never been healthy.
Never, ever been healthy. Very talented guy. And then the other takeaway I have is that I know that the final numbers don't look great in that he averaged under 10 yards a catch, 9 catches, 78 yards. But if you watched some of the highlights, like Zay Flowers is real. Zay Flowers is a real guy.
Gibby, what did I write right here before you even started?
Zay Flowers.
Yeah. So this was one that I had on. It was one of the ones that was consistently being shown on Red Zone while our game was going on. And so what Todd was doing with him was really cool. And they use him all over the place. They put him in space over and over again. He's going to be a real threat.
Why couldn't they get going in that game? It was pretty lackluster.
It took them forever they couldn't really establish the run. They stubbed their toe.
How did Lamar look? What was if as somebody who watched more of that than I did, other seeing highlights? What's the biggest difference in their offense?
So it's hard because it wasn't a primary game for me. It was a red zone game.
Okay.
So I'm only seeing the red zone stuff from them. I'm not seeing anytime they're on the red zone, they get my attention. But I wasn't able to see the drives.
Got it.
He made a couple of good throws. Odell had a good catch down the one sideline. Flowers is the big takeaway though for them. They really believe in what he could do, and he's going to be really a central part of their offense.
So I'm looking right now. I just got in here.
The Texans' defense, by the way, 4 sacks, forced 2 turnovers.
Yeah,
Ricard's still out there, by the way. 28 snaps. I thought that Monken would almost eliminate Patrick Ricard. 28 out of their 64 offensive snaps, so just under 50%, that's a pretty high number.
Yeah.
I think
all right,
C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud looked good. I thought he was fine.
28 of 44.
Of all the rookie quarterbacks,
he was probably second.
The thing with Richardson, though, is
Richardson looked good.
He did. The stats are a little deceiving on him. He misses stuff, too, bigly.
Sure.
Bigly.
Sure.
I think I'll tell you this, and on one of the boys' teams, I took Jonathan Taylor. Like, when he comes back in week 5, that's going to be a problem with Richardson and Taylor playing off of each other. They're going to be a team nobody wants to play because of that. I thought CJ looked really good, though. I think he's very solid. Like, it's first time out. He was fine.
Next up in the early window, Jacksonville goes to 1-0. Had to really fight for this one a little bit, though. Jags beat the Colts 31-21. Rookie QBs week 1 go 0-1. Bishop, one thought from you.
Always a safe bet to go against the rookie quarterbacks in week 1. That's always a smart way to play that. Jacksonville's really good. Trevor Lawrence is really good. The biggest takeaway, though, is like Calvin Ridley for a bucket of balls. Like, I'd be so curious to know, like, who else was in on that? Did Atlanta even try to get anything else, or did they just, like, first offer, fine, take him, get him out of our hand? Because it's nothing. And he's a stud. He was a stud in Atlanta. He's a stud here. And they got him for nothing. And they just waited a year for him.
Yeah. 8 for 101 and a touchdown in his first game, 11 targets. He's a stud. He knows how to separate, knows how to get open. That was my big takeaway. I was all in on him. I have him on more than half of my fantasy football teams. I thought Ridley was going to be a stud, and he certainly looks that way. And I thought Richardson was very impressive because he has that combination of the big arm, the ability to throw it a little bit. It won't be totally accurate, but Cam Newton was never considered to be the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. But when you have that physicality and you can run it the way that he can, and I thought it was a cool moment after the game when Trevor Lawrence was on the mic. They could hear him when he talked to him. Was like, dude, like, you're good. Mm-hmm. The NFL's not college. These hits add up a lot faster here. Like, take care of protect yourself. Slide. Don't take so many hits.
Up next,
Jags are for real.
Yes. Very formidable and with an easy schedule, if you can call it that, is if there's such a thing in the NFL. But it is an easier schedule than most in the AFC. Tampa Bay improves to 1-0 on the football season behind Baker Mayfield as they take down the Minnesota Vikings 20-17. Zagura, lead us off one thought.
So this was a game that the Vikings completely dominated in the first half and went in tied 10-10. Kirk Cousins at halftime, I think, had 275 yards passing. Justin Jefferson at halftime had close to 140 yards receiving. And then they did nothing in the second half. And this is the game, right? Isn't this Matt Ryan was on the call this game?
He was, yeah.
Yes.
This is when they
where the
stuck
guy
it to
made
him,
the...
which was ridiculous.
Like,
Yeah. Who are you?
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's MVP of the league.
And he's like, yeah, that felt like it should have been 28-3 at the half, but the Vikings should have put this game away. They did not, and credit to Baker. Got it done at the end of the game. And
he
was
wasn't
able to
particularly
run out the
good. I want to say it was like 21-34 for 160.
And he started off, though, like
he's
5
dreadful.
of 16 for like 12 yards.
Correct. Yeah, he had one hit to Evans. Evans went and got it. This was more really about Minnesota.
Yes.
Justin Jefferson had like 150 yards at half and then didn't do anything in the second half. And Cousins threw 2 red zone interceptions.
Yep.
It's, they just can't. Like, Minnesota's a better team.
They should have won that game handily.
I see them as being one of the biggest disappointments of this
They
year.
won 7 one-score games a year ago. You're not going to
do that again.
Yeah.
And their defense is dreadful.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got rid of everybody.
Well, 2 of their best defensive linemen from a year ago are they're on our team.
Yeah.
Dalvin Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith.
Up next, guys, the New Orleans Saints start off the year 1-0. They knock off the Tennessee Titans 16-15. Little slobber knocker. Bo Bishop, one thought from you.
I think you lead this one.
Morziger.
I will. I think it's amazing that Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins combined for about 650 yards passing in week 1 and combined to score 33 points. Like, Derek Carr made some very nice throws. Every highlight I watched, him and Olave seems like a great connection. 23 of 33, 305, 9 yards an attempt, and they scored 16 points. Like, what's the deal?
This was one that the only time I ever saw it, this was another red zone one early. The only time I ever saw it in the red zone was Tennessee blowing it.
Oh, my God, 3 picks from Tannehill.
I did not see, like, the Saints' successes I did not see on the red zone enough to be able to know it. But obviously Tennessee is at a point because, I mean, they're kind of in denial a little bit about their approach. But, like,
they've been in denial for a year. This was what we said
play
for
Levis,
last year.
play Willis.
When does
one
that
of them.
move happen?
Yeah, because Tannehill's giving you nothing right now.
Try to trade Tannehill to the Jets.
He's cooked. Yeah, you might be able to.
Up next, a good one, and the team we will face next week is the Pukers go down to the 49ers, 30-7. Big win for the San Francisco 49ers on all phases. Bishop?
I'm going to be on. So this was a primary screen for me. So I had us, and then I had them, and then I had red zone.
Gotcha.
So I watched a lot of this game. This was physical domination.
Yep.
The likes of which I have not seen a Steelers team physically dominated in a long time. I can't even recall one where they were just shoved, pushed, beaten, battered over and over and over. Purdy, and I understand a lot of it's coaching, Purdy looks light years ahead of Pickett. I mean, he's so cool, so calm. Layups. Pickett never really did. He was running for his life a lot. They do have, in the end of the game, it kind of showed up that I remember I telling you about that Darnell Washington kid, the tight end out of Georgia. He mauled Nick Bosa late in the game, like rolled him, went over Bosa, like steamrolled him on a block. So, like, they're going to use him in pass pro probably, I'm sure, against us. He didn't run a route, didn't catch a pass, but they're going to use him a lot to buoy their tackles, and they need it. But I have not seen Pittsburgh physically dominated like this in a long, long time.
Right before, or it was right before cut down or right after cut down, didn't the Steelers trade like 2 of their offensive linemen? They traded a couple guys, like their 6th man and their 7th man. Were they worse than what we saw on Sunday?
No,
I don't know.
This was bad. 5 sacks, 3 turnovers in the game. It was, the Niners just demolished them. And, we can talk about the respect that's being shown to the league, but in Vegas, we're going in as the same favorites the Niners were, if not bigger. I think the Niners one closed at 1 and we're 2.
Yeah, 2 or 2.5. Yeah.
TJ Watt's still a problem.
Yeah,
he's ridiculous. But now they don't have Hayward.
Yep.
We take care of business.
Yes.
My surprise team for 2023 starting off well. It didn't look that way for a little while, but the Commies take down Arizona 20-16. Zagura, one thought from you on the Commies going to 1-0.
They got it done. It was certainly anything but pretty. Sam Howell was sacked 6 times. They turned the ball over 3 times on offense and won the game.
Yeah.
Their defensive front remains elite. I'd like to see Terry McLaurin a little more involved, speaking selfishly. And then the other side is this Arizona team. They competed. Josh Dobbs competed, but they're just not talented.
No, they completely lacked. They've none.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Like,
but
the
it's on
Commanders
purpose.
played as poorly as they could and still won by 4.
Yeah. It was a pretty gross game.
Yeah.
I wonder if I keep wondering who's going to be like the Brian Robinson. Like, is he the guy who are they going to lean on him in the run game? Like, they couldn't really get that going.
They can't get a push though.
Yeah, they really can't. They're not. I didn't. What Washington showed on Sunday was not much.
No. In the late window on Sunday, Packers 1-0. Who needs Brett Favre? Who needs Aaron Rodgers? Love just comes in and takes the place and continues to make the Bears his, well, you know what. 38-20, the final score.
This doesn't do it justice.
No.
This does not do it justice. This was a beat down at the highest level. The stuff going around of Chase Claypool and his lack of give a damn is unbelievable.
Why don't they just cut him?
They
agree.
gave up we said
I
it
can't
in the
believe
moment.
it was the worst
You remember in
trade
the
ever.
moment? We're like, God, this is the stupidest trade ever. Who gives up essentially a first-round pick because it's their pick, top of the second round for Chase Claypool? Are you kidding me? And they did, and he's worthless. The offensive plan is pretty bad for Chicago. They got nothing out of DJ Moore. Couldn't really throw it. Whatever Fields did, it's all in garbage time. Green Bay looked absurdly competent. This was one of those ones when we did the scores, like, it's one of those ones where, like, until Chicago beats Green Bay, I'm taking Green Bay.
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't as wise as you. DJ Moore needs more than 2 targets. He needs to be at 10 targets every week.
Yeah.
Justin Fields still doesn't look good. I don't think he sees the field well. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I think
he was broken.
Great athlete.
I think he was broken. I think he was an NFL quarterback coming out, and I think they broke him with what they did the first 2 years with him. And now he's seeing ghosts. It's hard to get out of that. Once you start seeing those ghosts, it's hard to act like they're not there. Like, he needs a full rehabilitation away from there because there's nothing there that's going to fix it.
I think
he can throw it. He throws it. We all saw
I was very
it. Like,
discouraged.
It was just,
it's a different
he's
level,
terrified,
though. I think it's a different level. I think
it is, but it's not talent with him. And I think it's, even if it's processing, like, there's no reason to believe he can't process the way that Jalen Hurts did. He was a better player coming out. He was better in every single way.
Better thrower, for sure.
Certainly a better thrower of the ball. He was just as athletic. Like, sometimes you just get broken.
Yeah.
And I think they broke him.
All right, let's go a little rapid fire here as we wind it down. One thought for week 1. The Raiders with a 17-16 win over Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Zagura, I believe, up first on this one.
Same old Broncos. 16 points, 5 yards an attempt for Russell Wilson. Honestly, their leading receiver was a running back, Samaje Perine. Same old Broncos, gross. And Garoppolo, it's never pretty.
Nope.
But he does what he has to do to win when it matters. Every time. It's wild.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a long season in Denver. I think this could be it for Wilson.
First round
this
pick,
could be,
didn't you?
Yeah, this could be it for Wilson.
I haven't gone to I had him being a wild card.
I think this could be.
That's on you.
I'm stunned.
Outsy for Russ Wilson after this year.
Yeah.
Well,
because they can get out of that deal after this year.
Yeah, if they're not good, then yeah, absolutely.
I get that the Patriots and Eagles were a good game, and we'll get to it. But the best game of the day that the network should have shown at 4:25, Dolphins taking down the Chargers, 36-34. One thought, Bishop.
If Tua's right-handed, he'd have a lot more respect on his talent. Woo. I think because he's left-handed, it looks awkward, so people think he doesn't have arm talent, but he's got all sorts of arm talent. And then Tyreek Hill runs past everybody. You can't cover him. So, like, imagine being Mahomes sitting on Sunday watching games and going, "Oh yeah, I had that guy. That was fun."
11.
Now I got Isaiah Pacheco running around in
Toney.
10 and Kadarius Toney. Like I could
11 for 215 and 2 touchdowns. He and Waddle both averaged 19.5 yards per catch. In fact, the only player on the team that averaged under 13 yards a catch in week 1 was the running back Raheem Mostert. They averaged 16.6 yards per completion, 10 yards an attempt. Tua absolutely dealing.
Yeah.
Up next, the Eagles take down the Patriots 25-20. I know we'll talk about it next and around the league, but Sirianni talking about lamenting the fact, should have given my starters a lot more snaps. Maybe should have just given snaps in the preseason.
They were up big, and then like the Patriots made it interesting in the second half. They were up big in that game before it ended up going the way that it did. Eagles are fine.
Listen, I think Kenneth Gainwell is a very nice player. You have DeAndre Swift on your team, and you give him 1 catch and 1 rush and 1 target. Are you nuts? Like DeAndre Swift is a baller. He led the NFL in yards per touch last year on the Lions. Put him in that offense. He should be out there all the time. Mm-hmm. It's insane to me that he's not.
There must be something that he does in practice that people don't like. There's no other thing, because on the field it doesn't justify what happened. Both
practice.
Two places now. People just
Talking
don't
about practice.
They don't like him. Don't trust him.
Rams take down the Seahawks 30-13 in the surprise of the day. I think we can all agree on. Maybe Matt Stafford not going to be available to any teams here in the near future.
I thought this would be really tight. I thought the Rams would. I want to say it was 5.5. I picked them. I thought that they would cover. I thought there was a chance that they could win
good at this
divisional game. Like it's, good line out of you. But I would say that yes, this is the most surprising score line is how dominant the Rams were over Seattle. And I think if you're Seattle, you're going, are we sure we had what we thought we had with Geno?
Well, they went and signed Jason Peters today because he was under duress that entire game. He had 112 yards passing, Metcalf 47, Jackson Smith and Jigba 13 on 3 catches, Tyler Lockett 2 catches, 10 yards. I mean, they were dismantled. One crazy stat, though, I don't know if you saw this, Bobby Wagner, 19 tackles to lead the NFL back with the Seahawks. But
Stafford targeted some kid, fifth-round receiver, 15 times. Yeah, 15 times he targeted.
8 receptions for 102.
Related to former Brown Kai Nakua. Nakua had 10 for 119, Atwell 6 for 119. Tutu Atwell, remember him out of Louisville? Small.
I remember him well.
He had some good run, averaged 20 yards a catch in this one.
Final one, Sunday Night Football. Just not waiting all day for that. 40-0. Cowboys take down the New York Football Giants.
It was disgraceful.
The Giants are who we thought they were.
It was disgraceful, yeah.
It was a disgraceful performance.
Rough 24 hours in New York.
Great radio today, performance. Disgraceful.
And also, Dallas is really good, especially defensively. They're really good.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're the best 3 in the NFC. Them, the Niners, and the Eagles. Full day. We'll go around the league. Coming up next, listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Does your furry friend have what it takes to beat out the competition? Enter the Dog Race Sweepstakes presented by Milkbone for a chance to have your pup compete in the annual halftime dog races. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/contest to enter and check out more from Milkbone at your local grocer and pet supply store. Some news around the league. Did you guys see this? So this was one of those things that was misrepresented, I think, a little bit. You know this bar?
Yes.
So there's this bar in Milwaukee.
Did you see the news report? Like the anchor?
That's what I'm talking about. So, like, the first video you see from this is, like, these people celebrating that Rodgers is hurt. So what I think was lost a little bit on social yesterday is the reason they were celebrating was not because they thought he was done for the year. Or
No.
I'm sure there
they thought they were getting free drinks.
It's because the whole deal is every time Rodgers starts for the Jets, the patrons get free drinks if the Jets lose, right? So Rodgers goes down, they buy up.
Everybody's racing to the bar.
They're buying up all of it.
Yeah.
It goes south, and it's time to pay the piper at the end of the night.
Yeah, and you see the kid he's got his like
He's just going, oh.
Yeah.
That could be a $300 bill.
Yeah.
A whole night's worth of drinks that you think are on the house.
Yeah. Well, if we're not allowed to do it, but those people, what they should have done was put a very small amount on the Jets' money line at the time that Rodgers got hurt.
Right.
So that you're either drinking for free or you're out. I mean, I'm sure at that point when Rodgers went down, they had to be plus a pretty significant amount.
Well, the live went to minus 5.5 bills.
Right. So
right away.
Yeah. So that feels like a pretty good idea there.
Yeah.
Hedge it up.
Yep. They did not, and so
really what they should have done is take the middle. You take those points on what you think your bar tab's going to be. Either the Jets win outright.
Yeah.
So you win that, and you're going to have to pay your bar tab. Or the Bills win, and your bar tab is nothing, and so your bet is that. And then there's the sweet spot, right, where the Bills win by 3.
Yeah.
And you get your free bar tab, and you got that. Risk mitigation. There's no downside to that.
You're welcome.
There's just upside.
That's the type of life lessons you're going to supply your nephews.
Well,
right there.
I'm not being a bad. I think that's a good life lesson.
It's a very good life lesson. Due to the injury, the Packers now going to receive the Jets' second-round pick instead of the first.
Yep.
Rodgers had to play 65% of the snaps for it to be a first-round pick. Big news in the AFC, Chris Jones signing a one-year deal worth $25 million. He will be there this week.
Yeah, and they
kind of need him.
They're going to get – listen, they played their first game against a team that a lot of people like, okay, without 2 of their 3 best players. Should have won were it not for 2
Tony
egregious drops.
2 ridiculous. One led to a pick 6.
Right.
Correct.
They would have beaten that
won
Lions team, and now they get their top. Now they will have their top 3 intact going forward. Yeah, they're fine.
Nick Sirianni will definitely reevaluate preseason plans due to the slow start to his team, specifically quarterback Jalen Hurts, who did not play in the preseason. I think it's still a prisoner of the moment. I don't buy that.
Agreed.
Overreaction Monday.
By the way, I think New England's really good defensively.
And New England came out with a game plan that took away Dallas Goedert completely. Mm-hmm. And I think they had a tough time adjusting. And then I'll go back to it. DeAndre Swift should be on the field.
It's Belichick. He's going to. He's had 8 months to prepare for you.
Yeah. They won.
Yeah.
They won. And Jalen Carter is going to be most likely the defensive rookie of the year.
I just so that I don't want to hear any narrative about how they found Jalen Carter.
Correct.
Like if he's not involved in a manslaughter situation where he was involved in a car racing thing in Athens.
And by the way,
he goes 3rd or 2nd overall, 4th.
I haven't heard anything about any of that negative side of that.
None of it.
Ever. So they were just the smart ones who were like, this is going to be fine.
Yeah, we'll be
and
fine.
we're going to draft him.
Yeah. Ravens injury news, as we mentioned, J.K. Dobbins done with the season for an Achilles. The former Buckeye Heisman Trophy finalist just has never been healthy. He's going to basically play his whole career and never get a chance to be healthy at any of it. Uno handing you a phone.
From Adam Schefter, some breaking news. Veteran offensive tackle Ty Neshke, I'm going to have to work on that pronunciation, is signing with the Cleveland Browns per his agent Elite Loyalty. Browns lost offensive tackle Jack Conklin a season-ending injury in Sunday's opener against the Bengals. Uno, great work.
Great job out of you,
Uno. Bravo. All right, let me get the. I've heard the guy's name. I can't say that I'm familiar with his work.
Neshke.
Here we go. He's been in the league since 2012, and his last name is pronounced Nseki. So we got that.
Whoops.
Ty Nseki.
All right.
Nseki. Ty Inseki. All right, so we've got that. He has appeared in 103 games with 25 starts. Last year started 8 games at tackle for the Rams.
All right.
There it is.
Yeah.
Undrafted player. Same league since 2012 and undrafted. It's pretty good.
So right now, Hudson's your swing tackle.
Hudson's your swing tackle. And, you know, this is when you traded, you know, Tyrone Wheatley for Pierre Strong. You didn't think that you would need him. And obviously now you're like, you know, we could have used him. But this is a veteran, and I think if it gets to the point, you know, they'll continue to do diligence. I would imagine we are going to be a team that brings a lot of tackles in for workouts. We're going to try to get some tackles on our practice
There were a
squad.
lot of bodies here today.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
All right, you want my top 3 in college football?
I'd love to.
Yep.
Can I give my top 3, which is going to be based on nothing, and see if I'm close before
Go.
you do it? Michigan.
They play the mighty Falcons this week.
Georgia.
Spread is 40, by the way, for that.
And Ohio State.
So let's do this off of what we've seen, because I can't judge
Fair.
Georgia. They've played nobody. Michigan's played no. Michigan looks great.
Michigan's quarterback looks really good.
There's 3 teams in the Big Ten that can win the national championship. 3 of them. And I think there might be 4 teams on Ohio State's schedule, including the Buckeyes, who can. Notre Dame, Penn State. Penn State's really good. Drew Aller, the kid from Medina, is awesome. So they landed one there. But based on just what's happening on the field, the most impressive win so far is Texas going to Tuscaloosa and beating Alabama. So I would have them number 1. I would have Florida State number 2. They whipped LSU, which is a top 10 team at the time that they played them. And I would probably have the number 3 team based on what's happened so far.
Colorado.
They're pretty good.
Colorado.
They don't have the depth, though. They're getting. By the way, if Deion goes to Colorado a year earlier, I think Colorado's in the Big Ten because they're doing $9 million a week, and it's all about TV. Fox is going there. They play Colorado State. College game day's there. The Fox pregame show's there. The game's on ESPN at 10 o'clock at night, and they're going there to preview the game. He's a ratings bonanza. So, like, if he were there a year early, Colorado would be in the Big Ten. I really believe that. I'm fine with Michigan 3rd. Those are the top 3 at this point.
What are the actual top 3?
Georgia.
Okay.
Michigan. Is it FSU? That'd be Florida State.
Where are the Buckeyes?
6.
That's
Texas
right,
might be
2 of
3
them.
or 4. Yeah.
Didn't
Buckeyes
really go
did
out on
name
a
a
limb with
starter
Michigan.
this week.
Yeah.
Kyle
that's
McCord
good.
officially the starter.
Is
So-
that he started the first 2?
Yeah, I mean, the actions were saying that he was the starter.
Yes.
And it
Now
was
it's
just like
official.
the words matched up to the actions.
Got it.
Yeah,
finally.
Florida State number 3.
So it goes Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Texas,
USC,
Ohio State.
And then
Penn State should be right there.
Yep,
They
Penn
were
State's
7.
right after.
Penn State's really good. They're very, very good. Probably the best team Franklin's had there. All right, coming up next, a little bit of higher, lower, better, or worse. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Here for players, coaches after every Browns practice on From the Podium, the show that takes the press conferences from the day, rolls them into one podcast. Subscribe to From the Podium podcast wherever you get your podcast. Time for a little better or worse, higher or lower, presented by Keep It Fun Ohio from the Ohio Lottery, who reminds you to know the risks before you gamble. Hello, Gibbe.
Hi, guys.
Hey, buddy.
All right. Josh Kendall from The Athletic.
All right.
Uno found this. It is a unique power poll in the
Okay.
fact that the power poll is based on what you did on the previous week. So what you did on Sunday or Monday or Thursday is what your ranking is.
I like that.
We always ask. You always ask.
And I love that. It's you. What's your poll mentality? That's
So
what I want to know.
Uno found this one.
Good job, Uno.
It's called the Let's Overreact NFL Power Rankings. Okay? Let's kick it off. Hit it.
Higher or lower?
Number one, first and foremost, I should say, not number one. But ranked number 4, your Cleveland
That's
Browns.
Right. Appropriate. That's where it should be. It's a sweet spot because I just did like my 4 most impressive wins, and I have not looked at this. I have no idea.
I don't look at it.
I don't have any idea.
I did the same thing. That's
my
funny.
4 most impressive wins were Dallas at Giants, San Francisco at Pittsburgh, Miami at LA,
That was my
and
top
us
3.
4.
And in his top 4, Dallas is number 1, 49ers number 2, Dolphins 3, Browns 4.
So he's doing it
what I
right.
had.
So
Yep.
he's doing it right.
Yeah, he's doing
That's
it.
the way to do it.
This
We
one,
concur.
This is a pretty legit little
Well, what I
power
like
poll
about this is like, and this is quite frankly, I wish how like AP voters would do things. Like I've seen some of the power polls, even the NFL power polls this week, and like Florio, for example, has Kansas City still 4, even though Detroit beat him at their place. So yes, Kansas City's going to be better than Detroit, but based on what happened, how can that be? It just happened, you know. So it's like that's stuff that bugs me. So I like this. It's a good job out of them.
Next.
Higher or lower?
Jacksonville is number 5 in this young man's power poll. Number 6, the Philadelphia Eagles. Should they be higher, lower, or just right based on week 1, Bo Bishop?
I go a little higher. I think their win I think New England's okay. I think New England's more than – I think they're middle and above middle. I think their defense is really elite. And Mac is what he is. But I think that win at New England should be worth more than a Jacksonville win at Indy starting a rookie quarterback. So give me – I think Philly should be up 1 spot. I would put Philly 5th.
Yeah, I'd swap them in the Jacks. I agree with that.
Next.
Jags didn't dominate the Colts. The final score was
Correct.
better than the actual.
No, Colts led for
flow.
a lot of it, yeah.
Number 7 are the Detroit Lions. Number 8, the Ratbirds from Baltimore. It takes us to number 9, and the Green Bay Packers. Higher, lower, or just right after week 1, Zagura?
If it's based solely on week 1, I thought their dismantling of Chicago was infinitely more impressive than the Ravens' meandering win over the Houston Texans.
Agreed.
So I would put them better. I would put the Packers up ahead of the Ravens. And what was the other one that you
Who's
said?
6, 7, 8? Who's 6, 7, 8?
6 were the Eagles. 7 the Lions. 8 the Ravens. 9 the Packers.
I'll put the Packers at I think what they did was more impressive, honestly, than Detroit. Detroit, again, won because of nonsense, but still going to Kansas City, you win however you do it. And we need, another thing. Let me just, 2 seconds. Okay,
Please,
2 seconds.
please.
The NFL is so hard week to week. You cannot, this is the second primetime game we've had in week 1 where at the end of the game somebody said there should be an asterisk on the game. I could not believe Tirico said that after the Chiefs-Lions game. He said there should be an asterisk on this because they didn't.
Chris Jones and Kelsey?
But like injuries happen.
It happens all the time. That one
Things
was
happen.
crazy.
That was insane. And then last night, they bring in after that punt return, they bring in, was it John Perry, Jack Perry, some Perry? And it's like, there was a leg whip. Should have been a leg whip on that punt return because the guy fell down and his leg kind of bounced up. Like,
yeah, come on, stop.
Even so, they would have been in field goal range. And he said the word again. There should be an asterisk on this. There was a leg whip on that punt return.
Stop it.
There are no asterisks in football.
Not in the NFL.
It's too tough. It's too variable. It's too unpredictable. Stop saying that. Like it's absurd and it's honestly it's disgusting. I'm disgusted by it. I can't believe Tirico, Big B broadcaster.
Yeah, be better.
That was like
that wasn't right.
Stunning.
Yeah, that was.
Next.
Higher or lower?
10 the Rams, 11 Tampa Bay, 12 Atlanta, 13 the Jets, 14 the Raiders, 15 the Saints, 16, the Commanders. Number 17, the Kansas City Chiefs.
So he is the first losing
The
team.
first 0-1
The first
team.
loser. I would take the Raiders up. I'd take them up a little higher. He's got them 14. I'd have them up a little higher.
I'd have them up. I'd have the Saints up. And then the Jets, like after the Rams, it's like, okay, the teams that looked legitimately good. Like
The Jets did not-
The Jets beating the Bills?
Yeah, that
The
happens.
Jets'
ludicrous.
defense is
Yeah,
really good.
And they are.
But
And
outside of that,
17's
that's-
great.
but they
and
beat
Brees
the
Hall's great.
Buffalo
They beat him.
Bills.
Yeah. They, by the way, they were 2.5-point dogs with Rodgers.
Rodgers.
And they did it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to last, but they should be
No,
higher.
but this after week one, that was
Yeah.
the top 10 were all like actual impressive good wins.
Yeah.
That was the most impressive of the less impressive wins.
Yes.
Just real quick regarding the AFC North teams, the Pukers were number 23 on the list, and the
they should have
Bengals
been
were
lower.
21.
They both should have been lower.
Yeah,
If
I don't understand how the Steelers are 23. The Steelers should be.
It should have been the Giants last.
The Giants
Steelers
were last.
next to last, and probably Bengals.
The
30.
Arizona Cardinals
Where
were
does he have the
31.
Bengals? 21?
The
Yeah.
Cardinals gave the Commanders a game.
Yeah.
We're talking about three teams that got absolutely dominated and
The
destroyed.
Bears should probably be 31.
Bears, yeah,
Wow,
the bottom.
I think the most, other than the Rodgers injury, the biggest gut punch any
Bills.
team took in week one, I think, is Chicago at home. They were a 1-point favorite. It was
like that.
ding dong, the witch is dead. No Favre, no Rodgers.
Here
It's
we
our
go.
time. All the
Not.
money, all the investment, not. And it was over immediately.
Let's not throw the ball to DJ Moore ever. By the way,
It wasn't like it was a good game.
No, it was
The
a
Packers
debacle.
slumped them.
Are there 1,000 new employees at this company?
You tell
Yes.
me, brother.
I've seen 100 people today. I don't know.
Fact.
I can't believe that like a rite of passage isn't walk up the steps, come in, and introduce themselves to you.
You should have to do it on air to give a
That
fun
should be-
fact.
I agree. I like that.
Name, department, fun fact.
So much more to come. Play the
Poster
Browns
child.
Daily. 850 ESPN.
What are you the poster child?
a great first week. Disappointed with the Rodgers stuff yesterday because it would have been one of the great stories.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff other than that in the week one and a wide open AFC.
And for the Browns, I mean, in terms of every week matters in the NFL, right? So, like, you look at in the AFC, the record of the AFC in general, the AFC won 6 games as a conference.
Yeah.
You have that right? Yeah, 4-4, 1-1, which means they lost 6, 8. AFC was 6-10 in week 1. That's good.
Very good. Very good.
30-30.
All right, the next level coming up next. We are back tomorrow. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.